Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Miss Trina with Chat with Trina, and today I have the honor to be chatting it up with musician extraordinaire, Mr. Joe Carmouche. Hello, 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 everybody. It is Miss Trina with Chat with Trina, and I want to thank you for making the choice to click in with me tonight. Make sure that you support me and my vision by going to subscribe to my channel at youtube.com/chat with Trina. And then now I need to say that today my guest is, I'm really shocked about this one, but former HPD officer, 21 years that I did not know, an educator, a musician, and according to Houston Style magazine, he's considered to be one of the most in-demand jazz musicians, and he's best known for eloquently, and I know this because I saw this and I love this, he's eloquently plucking the strings of his guitar. He packs venues around town to the delight of all jazz lovers, young and old. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing great, Trina. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. When I was kind of doing a little bit of research, I was like, I know this thing about the plucking. So I've seen you do it on your guitar, and I've seen Dominique do it on his violin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love that. It makes it different. You've also been awarded the Certificate of Congressional Recognition for your musical accomplishments by Sheila Jackson Lee. And you've played to the likes of Joe Sample, Kirk Whalum. Is it Kenny Burrell?
Kenny Burrell, yes. Jazz guitar, great.
Of course, he's a guitarist as well.
Yeah.
Kirk Whalum is saxophone?
Exactly, yes.
And Joe Sample is?
Keyboard, piano.
Oh, keyboard, okay. And you have 4 full-length CDs?
Yes, I do.
Oh, yeah, see? I learned some stuff before I even talked to you today. So, but
you did your research.
I did a little research. And the funny thing is, I had heard your name many, many times before I actually met you that night at Scott Gertner's. I had heard your name. I'm sure I've seen you, but for some reason, that was the first time I actually said, let me stop him and say something to him.
Yeah, I remember that.
Real government name, just Joe Carmouche?
It's shortened. It's actually Joseph.
I was wondering.
It's actually Joseph. Most people that know me coming up in Houston know me as Joseph, or by my middle name, Kent.
Oh.
So when I decided to go into the music and jazz, I saw the name Joseph Carmouche was kind of long. It took up a lot of space.
Yeah.
I said, well, I need something cool. So I started thinking of Cool Joe, like Smoking Joe, Killer Joe. I said, I'm going to use Joe to shorten it to make it jazzier. So I went with Joe, and that was my stage name. It's funny though, because I was coming up, I never liked the name Joe, but people would call me that sometimes for short. But most of the people that call me Joseph went to school with me. It is like our friend Jazzy Baker.
Oh yeah.
But that's actually her nickname.
Yeah, because
and we shortened her nickname.
When I chatted with her, I didn't even know that you and her were perform together until I did her. And I did her research.
Oh yeah. She started out in Houston with my band, Joe Carmouche and Friends, some 10, 12 years ago. Yeah. And
before we get into you, I just have to ask, you tell this story about the girl, the lady that sings with you on Thursday. Is that a true story?
No, it's not true. She is from Odessa though. Okay. It's not true.
You didn't just pass by nightclub and find
I thought it was a good story because Odessa's so far and it's just a lot of open land, and and there is a hole in the wall there. I've never even been to Odessa, but she's from Odessa.
It's a great story.
About Janelle White. I tell the story, and I say, and I always tell her, I said, ask her, is she from Odessa? And she have to say yes. But it's just a story. No, it's not true.
Definitely. Well, it sounds very true, so I just had to ask today. I had to ask.
Yeah.
But I read that you are born and raised in my wonderful city, and you graduated from Kashmir High School.
Yes.
What was that like growing up over there and going to an HISD Kashmir?
Well, during that time, it was great. Kashmir was one of the leading schools in HISD in football, basketball, and by that time, we had won 2 back-to-back state championships in basketball, but the Kashmir Stage Band was world-renowned. They released 8 albums, had toured Europe, performed Japan, and had out live albums, live from Japan, and won so many contests, going to Mobile, Alabama, won Best Stage Band in the Nation. So I was hearing this coming up in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. So by the time I was in junior high, Terrell Junior High, I went there and played in the band. It was a foregone conclusion I was going to Kashmere, and the great Conrad Johnson was there. And he actually recruited me when I was in the 9th grade at Terrell Junior High and told me to come on over. And it was a wonderful experience. While I was there, we traveled across the United States, played in New York, Chicago, the Reno International Jazz Festival twice, toured our nation's capital, performed on the steps of the Capitol, actually.
Oh, that's crazy.
And yeah, it was just a wonderful experience.
Terrell was 9th grade. They had 9th grade?
Yes, it was a junior high back then. So it was 7th to 9th grade. Yes.
Really? Okay.
And it's no longer Terrell Junior High. It's been gone for a few years now. Okay. But yeah, it was a junior high.
So many things have changed. I even think about I was working at Forest Brook for a program, and it's a middle school now.
Yeah. Now, and Forest Brook was our rival band. They had a great band program, and we actually went on a tour one year with Forest Brook Band and Kashmere Band. It was the Eastern States tour. It was for 2 weeks. So they had their busload of people. We had our busload, but we performed together. And I became friends with a lot of them, and still friends to this day with a lot of the members of the Forest Brook Stage Band from that was like 42 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It was a long time
ago. Our good friend Kyle Turner went to Smiley.
He was at Smiley, exactly. Yeah, Kyle's about 2 years behind me.
Okay.
And also, we just want to send our condolences. His father just passed, the great artist Turner, great jazz vocalist. He used to perform in my club. Really? I had a club downtown called Legends Jazz Cafe, and he was one of the first people to perform there. Great jazz singer. He just passed. So I want to send our condolences out to
definitely to that family. Definitely. I just chatted with Kyle not too long ago, and we talked about his dad. And Angela said that they just gave him, his flowers back in the summer in June.
Yeah. Yes, they sure did. They went and visited him at his home. Yeah. Good. That was great that they did that. That was a good thing they were doing, honoring our legends as they're getting older. They know they're not mobile, and he was having challenges then. Mm-hmm. So we really appreciate that, what their efforts were to give them their flowers at that time while they're living.
And because I talk about all the time, we have new musicians, even new dancers, because I'm a dancer, that I try to say, I want younger people to understand how important it is to know about our history. Another reason for this show, because you can't move forward if you don't know what happened before you got here. You know what I mean? And then also when paying homage to those who came before you, and it's just so important to me. I did not get to meet his dad, but but I just think that's so important for us to remember. That's where we got so much of what we do. Brothers and sisters, do you have any?
Of course, I have a sister. You may know my sister. Her name is Guitarist Carmouche.
I haven't met her yet.
And she works at HISD, and she's just one. I recently have a brother that passed from my dad's second marriage. He just passed this past year. But yeah, it's just the two of us.
Oh, wow. I was a little girl today in lunch telling me about her. She has 6 sisters. I was like, I wish I had another sister. So when I'm mad at one, I can go talk to another one. That's what I wish I had. So, yeah. And you have one beautiful daughter that I've recently met that we didn't even know we spent a whole week together, didn't know that we had something in common.
That was so funny. I saw a picture on your post and I like, that's my daughter. I'm like, Trina's with I said, I see Trina, in the music business. And I'm like, okay, Trina's a wraparound specialist. I'm like, that's my daughter. They hanging out. I said, they must just met.
I have no idea. I mean, we sat literally to get next to each other that whole week. That's why it was so crazy. And she actually said, I should have known that when you said that you do the promotions of music and stuff. I should have known that.
She didn't. Yeah, she wasn't thinking about it. You don't think about it. We were trying to learn even the last name now, it's not like it's, well, normally people here to say, so-and-so and so-and-so, but there are other Carmouches in the district, and I don't even know them. I mean, they may be related distant, but they're not people I really know.
They're not like Curveys. That's Curvey. I'm a Curvey.
Okay.
Yeah, so we always say if you know a Curvey, you know us all. We all related. So,
yeah. I know some Curveys. I worked with a Curvey on the police department a long time ago.
Oh, really? We're probably related. So I read that you were part of. We just talked about the Kashmere stage. You did a cameo. Y'all did a documentary.
Yeah, so I guess that was around 2010. They filmed the documentary, started with Conrad. It was based on them trying to do a reunion of the Kashmir Stage Band of 1973. And so actually it's like 2008. I think it was a 35-year reunion.
Okay.
So that would have been 2008 when they started filming it. And it was supposed to be about the life of Conrad, and then it took on a new twist when they realized these musicians hadn't played together since they won. They went to Mobile, Alabama, and won Best Stage Band in the Nation. And the significance of that was they were all black jazz ensemble competing against all white bands during the time of was it Wallace? I think was the governor. And the racial tensions were different. You know, we're still just coming off the civil rights movement, and we still had those issues there. So they went and they won the whole thing. So that band, it was a 35-year reunion. So they documented that. And at the time, I had a club downtown called Legends Jazz Cafe. So I went by, and the night that they would have the concert, and it was one of the last nights I would see Prof. He died a few nights later. So when they filmed it, they did the whole thing, and then they went on and waited and did the part when we was when he passed in the funeral. So they got it in the documentary Thunder Soul, which was executive producer was Jamie Foxx.
Oh, really?
You know, so he picked it up, and that's how it got in the theaters, and it's on Netflix now.
I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, it's a true story,
right.
and it shows some documentation of the 70s in Houston, Fifth Ward, Kashmir Garden.
Oh yeah, I definitely have to check that out. So when you guys were traveling with that band doing that, because it makes me think about the times that you were living in, was that anything? I mean, did anything happen significant as far as?
Well, yeah, so no, by the time I came around, it was the late 70s.
So it was better.
And things were quite different, you know? Okay. Yeah, so a lot of those guys came around, they were probably coming up from the late 60s, early 70s. So that group is about 7 years ahead of me.
Okay.
So no, we were just young kids, 16, 17, 18, having a good time, just going places and performing and just getting the experience to see what it feels like to be on stage with people cheering you on and applauding you, and then you win these contests. And you know, I never ever thought about like playing professionally. Really, then I was just playing for fun.
Oh, okay.
You know? Yeah, I just played for fun, but we were really good because we practiced hard. You know, we took it very seriously. And when you were in the stage band, you weren't like today. A lot of kids are involved with so many different things. They'll pull in so many different ways. You know, they may be playing football, soccer, basketball, track.
Did you do any sports?
You know, huh?
It was only music for you. Or did you do any sports?
Well, I did play sports, but I played football, basketball, baseball, and boxing. Boxing was my thing. I wanted to box more than anything, and my idol was Muhammad Ali. I came up when he was Cassius Clay and followed his career. So I started boxing at an early age. I used to go to the place called the PABA, Progressive Amateur Boxing Association, with Reverend Ray Martin. Okay. And I wanted to be like Sugar Ray Leonard and go to the Olympics and all that stuff. But my parents were smart enough to tell me, no, we don't want you getting punch drunk and slurred speech and, you know, getting the punch upside the head. And so I didn't know anything about that then, but I saw the results of it later on.
Yeah.
But it's a brutal sport, you know. Yeah. You got to take some hits. But that was my favorite. I like baseball. But what happened was when I picked up the guitar, I found I was better at that than I was at sports. In other words, I kind of stood out on the guitar. But in sports, it was very competitive. But I dominated more on the guitar. So it came really natural to me, you know. So I found that was my niche, and I stayed with it.
Okay. What made you choose the guitar over anything else, or did you try anything else?
I really didn't try anything else. The guitar was just natural for me. What happened was I always would see like on the cartoons and TV and the movies, somebody playing the guitar. So I could see it. It was always cool. You see Elvis with a guitar back in the day. Mm-hmm. You see Fat Albert, you know, Rudy with the guitar. He was real cool with his hat on, you know. And, you know, we see the Monkeys and the Archies and all these cartoons and movies. If somebody playing the guitar, you'd hear it in the movies.
You are so right. I never thought about that.
Oh, man. It's so much. You hear it in your Westerns, you know. Mm-hmm. You'd hear it in your cop movies, the police movies, or the guitar, you know, the chase scenes. And so it's always a guitar. It's so cool. But what happened really was that there was I was at my grandmother's house, and there was a guitar in a box in the closet. And it was in my aunt's room, but she was gone off to college, and I was just rambling around looking for something to do because I didn't have any toys. I was about 10 years old, so I was looking for something to get into. And I saw this box of the guitar, and I took it out and started strumming it. And I asked my grandmother if I could have it. And she said, well, that's your aunt's, and I'm sure she'll let you have it, but you'd have to get her permission. And so my aunt told me, yeah, you can have it as long as you promise you to learn how to play. And I was 10. And I started playing. I didn't know how to read music or anything. I didn't know how to really play the guitar. I knew how you're supposed to hold it and strum it. Right. But what happened was we used to have this thing called show and tell back in elementary school. Do you remember that?
I remember show and tell.
Yeah, and it was a great thing. It's something they should continue to do. I don't know if they still do that, but in show and tell, the kids get a chance to bring something to school and demonstrate it. And this one kid brought a guitar. He sat in front of the class and started playing. And it was a guitar like mine, and it was an acoustic guitar, and I was watching his fingers, and he was playing these songs, all the popular songs, like the Motown songs of the day. And I just watched his fingers and memorized what he was doing. And then I went home and started playing it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is how you do it. So I was able to start learning songs. But my mom says, hey, now you're playing a little bit, but you don't know how to read music. You don't know the proper technique. You're just playing around. You need to learn how to read music and learn proper techniques so you can play anything. So she immediately found me a really good guitar instructor. Y'all know if you remember a mall called Northwest Mall?
Yes.
Northwest Mall. And, yeah, well, there used to be a H&H music store in there.
H&H music.
Yeah, and she found a really, I don't know how, she just looked around. She was really good at just wanted to find the best for me. And this guy was really good. And I went to him for like 3 years. I learned how to read music. He taught me all the popular songs of the day. I was a little kid, 10, 11 years old, going on Saturday mornings to my guitar lesson. And that's where I learned to read and play the different styles like rock and pop and blues and even jazz.
Yeah. So what's your favorite genre? Do you have one? Is jazz the favorite?
You know, it's tough. There was a time I would have said jazz, but not now. I love my R&B. I love my Earth, Wind and Fire. I love my Luther. I love my Marvin Gaye. I love my Jacksons, Michael Jackson. I love my Mays. I love my Anita Baker, Stevie Wonder.
I gotta say this. Miss Trina will never, I have a friend who will never speak to me again. I missed her 50th birthday party because I had to go see Mays. I will never miss Mays. If they're coming to Houston, this girl ain't gonna miss it.
You know, I know what you mean.
Their last time, you know what I mean?
I saw Mays so many times in the 80s to the early 90s that I had to stop going. And Frankie got old on me, and they still doing it. They're still doing it. But some of my first concerts, the Cool Jazz Festival in the Astrodome back in
I remember
late 70s, after they come out, about a year after they had their first album. I think the first album was in 77. And I saw them in 78. That was the first time. And then I would see them every time they came to town. Luther Vandross, my favorite singer.
Okay.
So I love R&B, the Motown era, but the 80s and the 90s, so much great music, you know, and this different Whitney, Anita, and then later on, you know.
She's about to have a concert. She's about to tour. Anita Baker.
Is that right?
About to do a tour. I read something the other day.
How about that? I saw her once in the concert she did with series with Luther.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, it was.
I heard that was. You got. You know, they're both crooners and love songs, and I remember seeing that. But I was a big Luther fan, though.
Really? Okay. What do you think about Michael Jackson? Like.
Oh man, well, you know, when I was little, I wanted to be one of the Jackson 5. I didn't want to be Michael. I couldn't be Michael.
Yeah.
But I used to try to, when I was younger, I think I kind of looked like him a little bit, had a little afro, thought I was cool and cute and all that, and could dance a little bit. So I was trying to, before I played the guitar, I was trying to dance and sing.
Oh, okay.
So I would go in my room and listen to the records by the Jackson 5. First it was the Temptations. Oh, really? And then when I heard the Jackson 5, that was it.
That was all she wrote.
That was it. I wanted to be like Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. I wanted to go to LA. I read everything about them. I knew everything about them. I was just, so engrossed with the Jackson Five. Some of my first concerts, I remember one of my first concerts I went to, a real concert, was the Jackson Five in the Sam Houston Coliseum in 1971. And I was blown away. Wow. The dance and the scene, the clothes they had on, I was blown away. But even at that time, I wasn't playing the guitar. I was just 8 years old. I wasn't playing. I liked Tito when he was playing. I liked everything. So it was kind of hard. I said, I like Tito playing the guitar, but I like Michael singing. And I was like, man, it's just, that was it for me.
Yeah, it was probably so overwhelming because everybody was doing so much, and it was just
exactly.
Yeah, so
kind of like Earth, Wind, and Fire. I saw them in their heyday. They were amazing. Now that is the best concert I've ever seen.
Is Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Yeah. Hands down. I saw them in fall of '79 at the Summit. And they did this magic trick at the end where Maurice had the guys sit on the stool. Like 4 or 5 of the main guys. Some of them were still playing the background music, like the background musicians. Right. And he had 4 of the guys to sit on the stool. And he put a sheet on them. They was dancing and moving on there. And he'd walk up to and pull the sheet off and they'd be gone. No explosions, no smoke, and they'd be gone. And I'm watching, I said, how do you do that? And he'd get up to them again. And the last guy was moving a whole lot. Because someone just sitting there and they just pulled a sheet and it was gone. How did he do that? No explosions, no smoke.
Right.
And the last guy was under the sheet, just moving and moving. And I said, okay, I'm gonna watch this closely. He pulled and the guy was gone. I don't know how they did that.
That's crazy.
But he worked with a magician, a professional magician. They set it up for him. And that was just amazing.
I bet. I remember my parents going to a lot of those concerts, the Cool Jazz Festival.
Cool Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was the precursor to the later the Budweiser Superfest.
Yes. Yeah. So you do not play any other instruments, right?
Well, I do. I play bass. I play drums, and I played drums in school, in the concert band and marching band. I was in the drum line before the movie. We had drum line. We did the halftime. The drummers go out and do it. So I used to be out there doing that at Kashmere. And I did it at Terrell too. I used to be the section leader in the drum section when I was in junior high and high school. I play bass, and I can pluck on the piano a little bit, but no, my instrument is the guitar. I really don't even care to play anything else. Okay. The guitar is it. Drummers tend to not have to read in the drum line, and we learned cadences. We didn't read that, but we did read in concert band, and we had to read in marching band, but a lot of times
you might get away with it.
Make the part up to go with the music, because all your clarinets, flute, the brass, woodwinds, they had to read those parts. But the drum parts is a little easier to read, but
there's a
you really have to have a good memory. Drummers now, they're not really reading. You don't see them with music too much. Now they do have it, but for the most part, drummers have this incredible feel, impeccable timing, and a good memory. They have to remember all the accents, the intros, and endings. So the drummer is a very vital part. If you know, I don't know, but like now I just use a trio: guitar, bass, and drums, and that's the foundation for me. My drummer is the most important musician in my band because he keeps the time. He's the glue, and he can drive them. He knows the accents, and so it keeps that timing going, locking the groove, and pushes the band. And he can do all the dynamics. If I have a good drummer and bass behind me, then I'm very comfortable. Okay. But so a lot of times I'll just use bass and drums behind me, and then we bring the singer in. And if everybody's doing their job, everything else is extra. The keyboard is extra, saxophone is extra, another singer that's extra. That's wonderful. Yeah. But the foundation of what I do is, and it's because I started like that with just a drummer, a bass player, and a guitar. Sometimes we'd be 2 or 3 guitar players. Everybody used to play back then. We had what they was called garage bands, which is a real garage band. Right. We play in the garage on Saturdays, and the people would drive by and listen to us. But we were playing good. We were in 8th grade. We were playing all the stuff that was on the radio then.
Right. Yeah. Wow. I see a lot of bands doing the 3 now. But Zydeco, when they've said that they didn't used to have a keyboardist in Zydeco. It used to be the rub board, just those main instruments, the drummer, and I guess the guitar, or
probably guitar. Yeah, probably had a guitar, and they might not even have guitar.
Yeah, but I know they have the keyboard.
They got there and they got to have the accordion. They got to have the accordion. And they might have the rug board and a drummer and maybe bassist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the basic foundation of the music.
What is the most rewarding thing to you about performing live?
Oh, the audience response. That's it. Is the most rewarding. When I see people, and then with the feedback, some they'll come up and they tell me how much they enjoyed it, and later, people say, I saw you play so and so. We met at a club and you were playing, or you played at our wedding. You played for our wedding reception. We got engaged one night, and then I got your first CD, and I was like, really? That was like 20 something years ago. Yeah. But just the feedback, and one of the things I like when we play songs is the people. You can see in the audience how they're responding. They're moving. They don't have to be on the floor dancing, right? But sometimes they might just start singing along. Yeah, we'll play an instrument, especially on the instrumental side. If you can play a song, and one of the things I try to do as an instrumentalist is to try to emulate the voice of the singer. In other words, I want my guitar to sing and tell a story instead of just playing the guitar. And I want it to be musical and melodic, and the sound to be pure, so that people can feel it. And if I'm playing a R&B cover of a Maze song or Isley Brothers, or Luther, I want it to be like I'm singing to you. So people will respond to that. But the feedback is just more rewarding than anything.
I can imagine. And then it's actually automatic gratitude or that feeling, because you see people moving and moving in their chairs and stuff. So yeah,
immediate gratification. You're right.
Let me ask you about being a police officer. What made you do that?
Again, kid stuff. I wanted to play the guitar because I saw the cool guitar players in the movies and the cartoon, and I was coming up.
Cops and robbers.
Cops and robbers, police. Later on, what was more influential than that, though, was Miami Vice. In the 80s. Miami, Don Johnson. Crockett and Tubbs with the Ferrari, the suits. They were working undercover, and I wanted to do that kind of thing, and I ended up doing that kind of thing. I remember one time I had an undercover assignment. I actually did work some undercover, but I don't want to get into a lot of that, but what I did specifically. But I did have a nice, I didn't have the white Ferrari, but I had a white BMW 7 Series. I'm sorry, 7 Series. 2-door coupe. What? That I had on a loan on assignment I was working for the
So they really do that?
Oh yeah. Okay. So this was a confiscated car, just like in the back line in the story of Miami Vice. The car that he drove was a confiscated. That Ferrari Testarossa that Don Johnson drove, it was confiscated. So the car I drove was it was bad. It was a 733 CSI, something like that. It was a BMW. It was white. It was like a ghost, and it was low profile. And they let me have that car. And I had fun, and they gave me, they give you, I can't tell all that stuff, but anyway, I had fun doing it, but it can be very dangerous.
I'm sure.
Very dangerous.
Yeah. Is that why you end up retiring, or was it just time?
Exactly. But more importantly, my music career was taking off, and I was close to my retirement time. I had 20. You could retire with 20 years and get your pension, full pension, your pension benefits. Now, what you have in your 401k and deferred comp and all that, you could be penalized if you take it too early. Right. But my pension was, based on my salary. So next thing I know, I said, I'm going to wait. My music career was taking off. At that time I had 3 CDs out. Okay. And I was opening for people and doing some traveling, doing festivals on TV and radio. So that was kind of compromising my undercover. Right. And I remember going to a place one time. I was in plain clothes, and I was still on duty, but I wasn't in the middle of the assignment. I was on lunch, and I was at a restaurant, and I went to the men's room, and a guy comes in next to me in the stall. He's standing up, and he said, "Hey man, you gonna be at the Sky Bar tonight?" I didn't even know the guy, right? I like, yeah. So he knew who I was. Here's the thing. When you play in front of people, whether it's a club, a festival, arena, there's hundreds of thousands of people that see you. They only have to remember one name. That's yours. I don't even remember the faces. And so let alone names.
Right.
So they know who I am. So I'm going there. They going to the club scene. So I'm in the middle of undercover. Well, I was like on the lunch break, but I was in plain clothes. But the fact of the matter, I was on duty.
Right.
And my job assignment was undercover. So I didn't wear it. About the last 13 years on the police force, I didn't wear a uniform.
Okay.
Yeah. I never drove a patrol car about the last 13 years. A lot of people didn't even know I was a cop.
Yeah. I never heard that.
It
wasn't hard to find, but it fine for me. But
yeah, but I had a great career there. But one of the things that it was dangerous. But I wanted to further pursue my music career, so I didn't want to sabotage it by just trying to do both. That's hard. And my music career got to the point where it was like taking off a little head, and I already had qualified for my retirement. I had 21 years, so
you were enjoying the music more, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it's much more rewarding.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing.
Had you always wanted to open up a club when you opened up Legends? What?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah. That was like a bucket list thing, I guess. I don't know, call it a bucket list back then, but yeah, I had been talking, and anything I decide I want to do, it's always a planning stage. It may take a year or two. It's just like when I joined the police department, it took about a year to get all that together and be ready, and then say, okay, I'm gonna do it now. I thought about it, planned it, got my thing together that I needed to do. So when I go to apply, I'm 100. I'm full straight ahead, and I'm ready.
Right.
And my focus, and believe you me, I wanted to be a cop. I didn't think about playing. I put the guitar down because I wasn't really playing it that much professionally at that time. I was in school, and I was a criminal justice major at U of H.
Okay.
And I was working full time as a computer operator at Ben Taub Hospital. So I was busy, but when I became a cop, that's all I wanted to do. It just so happened I started back playing, and some people took notice, and I found out, hey, this is pretty fun and rewarding. But yeah, more so, like you said, it was to pursue the music, the retirement, to pursue the music, and it's been more rewarding for me.
And with the club, you decided to do that. That was right after retirement?
It was right after retirement. You're right. Well, so really, the reason I retired like at 21 years is because I was looking for a spot. And like I said, everything is planning, and planning is like you get your business plan, you look for locations, you think about, where you want to be. Right. And you think about your budget, your planning, and build out and all of these things. You just jump right in it. So I've been planning and looking at that the whole time. So when this spot became available, I went to the owner and talked to him, and he liked me and told me, yeah, I'll rent that space out to you. And I said, well, that's it. And I went on in and turned in my my retirement papers. And so I was downtown about 3 years. We were there between 07, 07. Yeah, I think it was 07 to 2010. Yeah.
How did you enjoy having a club? Was it as much was it the work as much as you thought it was gonna be? As hard as you thought it was gonna be?
It wasn't that hard to me.
Okay.
I was lucky to have some people that came aboard that helped me that I could trust. When you focus on something and you're determined and you're just a positive thinker and you had a plan, I was a go-getter to go do it. But what I wanted to do, I did it, and I left on my own terms.
Okay.
Basically, I didn't want to be in the club business anymore. That's the only reason. Right. But we had fun, an opportunity to hire a lot of musicians, give them a platform to play, to be heard. We were downtown, so we got a good audience, a good mix of people coming. And a lot of people got their start there, and I see them still performing. They've made CDs, they're doing festivals, but we had a lot of fun there, a lot of fun. It was a small place. People liked it. We had a little food there, a little Cajun food, some catfish and Cajun fried catfish and boudin balls and shrimp.
Oh, okay.
People liked that. And we had a little bar. And
So people
it was
just kind
kind
of
of
do what
down home, cozy feeling. All adults,
I mean.
everybody, most people came in there were, except for some of the musicians were a little bit younger, maybe my 30, but most people was like 40 plus. Never had an incident of break-ins or cars or robberies or fights. Never had to call the police or anything.
That's
so. Yeah, it was a great experience, and one that I always.
What has been the most challenging about this business, the music business?
The most challenging? That's a good question. I would say I've been very fortunate that when I decided to pursue it professionally as a musician, I started out when I got back in it as a police officer. I was doing gigs, playing with other bands and stuff, and someone encouraged me to record. And I was fortunate enough to put the time and energy into that. Now, that was another project. The CD was just like the club, a year or two of planning. But when you see the CD when it came out, I had planned and worked on that like a year or two, thinking about what I wanted to do, what the songs, how I wanted to produce it, and putting the time to make the product that I felt comfortable with to put to public. And once I was very confident about that product. And once it got out, they gave me a lot of exposure. Then we did the next one and the next one. Okay. And that's how it got to be, well, oh, okay. We were hearing you on the radio and some TV shows and other gig opportunities. So I would say, I said all that to say that the most challenging thing for people to get a breakthrough, to get an opportunity, especially in the old days when now a lot of things are digital. Yeah. But when radio was playing, it was hard to get radio. Everything has changed now. There's not many jazz stations. So for a jazz musician to get radio play now is kind of hard. There's not really any jazz. So you have some internet stations, but yeah. And then record sales. I was independent, so I did my own production and started my own distribution, and then later on got with some bigger distributors, and we got it out to radio across the nation. That would be the hardest thing, is getting noticed, getting a break, and getting into the circuit, the private circuit, playing for corporate events, galas, wedding receptions, and things like that. You have to have established yourself to be known, either through have a good agent to represent, but you still have to have a good product. Yeah, yeah. So breaking in and getting like people we call it, when we play, they call it gigs. Yeah. Which I don't really like to say that, but it's convenient. Yeah. It's a convenient term. People know what you're talking about. Getting the gigs and getting paid. Some people are playing and not necessarily getting paid. Yes. And getting paid and then getting paid. The next thing is getting paid properly. Yes. But again, you know your value, and you have to learn as you go and be a professional. Treat people kindly and fairly with respect. Carry yourself with respect, and always be a professional. And being professional is sticking to what you're supposed to do, coming on time, answering your calls, your phone, your emails, texts, dressing professionally. There's a lot of little things why a lot of people don't make it, and they get caught up in themselves. Yeah. And it's not about you. Yeah. Because if you look at it, it's the people. I tell them all the time, these people are dressing up to come to hear you play. They're coming from Sugar Land. They're coming from Pearland. They're coming from Cypress. They're coming from the north side. They're coming from the southwest side of town to come hear you play. They're paying a cover charge. Yes. They're eating dinner. They're buying drinks. They've come out to celebrate you because they want to hear your music. And this is how you're getting paid. The venue has to make money to pay you. So once they understand that, the business relationship, it's not about you, because you can just if you play for yourself, you don't play for the audience. And a lot of people miss it. Certain musicians and certain styles kind of don't get that. Don't get that. And they gripe and complain about, oh, there's this venue, this and that. But they're not doing. There's a song that came out a long time ago. I want to say it was about OJ's. It's got to give the people what they want. Yes. Yes, I know. You got to give the people what they want. So if you're in this business, and my product is music, so I don't, like people say jazz guitars, I don't really play what they would call real jazz anymore. I started off with that and playing like the jazz, the stuff that we hear, John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, Wes Montgomery. And I played it for some friends, some females in college. I was playing all this jazz stuff, bebop.
Yeah, yeah.
But already bebop. What is bebop? You know, is bebop is like gibberish. They don't know what you're playing. You know, it's like scat. You're not saying anything, but we don't know what you're saying. But it's jazz, and you know, we're gonna play fast and want to play all these lines and runs, and we want to really show off our technical skills. So I played these songs for these young ladies, and I thought I was doing something. Well, probably in the New York jazz scene, it would have been. And the lady tell me, she said, "Okay, Joe, what is this? Name that tune. Will you play me something I know? Can you play me some Marvin Gaye or some Luther Vandross?" And that didn't happen but one time. And after that, I say, they don't know nothing about this music. This old stuff, you trying to play Charlie Parker and Coltrane. So you need to appeal to the artist. And that lady just told you what to do. So I followed. It's a good friend of mine. I remember from college, and they said, "What is this you're doing? Yeah, is this supposed to be Name That Tune? I don't know. What is that you playing?" They didn't know these songs. So then I said, let me play something they know. So when I first started recording, I was doing a straight ahead jazz album. I was trying to be like the people that impressed me when I was younger.
Right.
But that was an era, and those guys were dead and gone. So I was trying to duplicate what they were doing. They had already done it. And there really wasn't a market for that here. Yeah. So I changed the focus and went to doing more of what they call R&B instrumentals or smooth jazz or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter.
There were terms for it now.
Exactly. It's all music. It's all music. And then I started getting gigs, and I can play all the other stuff too. But this is what the artists come to know me, and this is what they pay for. This is the product. It's like Coca-Cola. Don't change the formula. We don't want the new Coke. We want the old Coke. We want you to do what you do.
Original Coke.
We want McDonald's French fries. Don't change those French fries. We want McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese.
Yeah.
This is the product we want you to do, and this is what we're paying for. Right. So when the people, they'll tell you what you want.
Yeah.
What they want, they're gonna identify you. Once you get identified, it's hard to get away from that and do something different. Yes. And a lot of people tried to do it. Michael Jordan tried to go play baseball. We want you to be Michael Jordan and win them championships, do them dunks, and do. Yeah. We want you to do that. We don't care about you playing baseball. That's something you want to do. You're not gonna be the same in baseball. Baseball is a totally different animal.
Yep. Different people, all of that.
Yeah, we want you to do what you do. And so, you know, it's just like Frankie Beverly. He ain't got to make no new songs. Nobody's mad at him. He's still singing Happy Feelings, John Payne, and Before I Let Go.
And he don't even have to sing no more. He
don't have to sing anymore.
And just stand there for me.
And guess what? You expect to hear that. You don't even want to hear him play no new stuff. Because your ear's not trained to that. And so we're trained that we can sing along. We want to, what's this Frankie playing? You know, we want him to play what we paid to see him play those songs.
Just like Mary J. Blige, when she changed to this other, she tried to do another type of music song at one time. And they was like, we like Sad Mary. We want the Sad Mary because that was the music we liked.
People will tell you. They will tell you. They will not just verbally tell you. They'll tell you about their response or lack thereof. So, you know, and I accepted that. I don't have any problem with it because I love all the music. So if it was straight ahead jazz, I would probably be on the New York scene or something like that. And we might not even be having this conversation. You see?
Yeah.
But you know, the route I took, it was for me. You know, it was God's plan and vision because I, you know, went to school and then joined the police department. So I had a career and I have a retirement. So I was able to. I invested in myself.
Yeah.
And the CDs was an investment in myself, and the club was an investment in myself. It was the music business, all that paid for that. So my first CDs was money I got from my gigs. I paid for it. And then the product pays for the next one, you know, just
right.
Continue on. It's a business, but I did it. So I never do it for the money. First, I do it for the love and create a product that I'm proud of and that I think that people like, and then let that product speak for itself. And it spoke for itself by the response. And then, you know, here I am now, still doing it.
You knowing how to read the crowd. I say that about DJs sometimes. Sometimes I think DJs get into their head and they play what they want to hear.
Yeah.
But you have to know how to read the room to see.
Yeah.
You know what I
I do that. What I do, and you know, we play every Thursday at it's okay to say Scott Gardner's, the great rhythm room. And I got my start with Scott Gardner Skybar some 20 years ago on the Wednesday night after work escape with the Wave 95.7, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day, ladies' night, we played there 5 years straight, Wednesday nights. So I was that trio again, guitar, bass, and drums would play from 6 to 8 or 6 to 8:30, something like that. And so I had this crowd of people. So I have to win them over some kind of way, what they like. So I look at the age group, I look at the demographics.
Definitely.
What can I do that's different that'll bring up some joy and excitement? So I started thinking about what would I like, what would they like, where were they at? And if I put these songs together and then just give it to them, and then when I see the response, then hit them with that, hit them with that. Sometimes we'll have a set list and then things change and you have to adapt. Yeah. So the room may be kind of lighter and they may not be as responsive like that. Some nights they might be into eating their good food at the rhythm room. Yeah, they're not dancing. It's just that they came to enjoy the food and the ambiance of the music. Yeah. So you have to say, okay, we'll time it. Whereas most of the people here early, they're eating and drinking. Mm-hmm. Then pick some of your heavier stuff that they've eaten and got a few drinks in them. Right, then hit them with these songs. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not gonna say anything else because I don't want these other people to be copying what we do. Because it took me a lot of time, years, and experience to do that. Right. That's my formula. So we're not gonna share no more secrets.
But there's always this conversation about what the musicians play and what the owners can pay. So my thought is always, my thought is, because of course I know from the club owner side, because working with Tito for so many years, and then I know the musician side as well. So your prices, do you, and this is only about Joe, when you're creating prices, do you look at the venue? I mean, what do you do to determine, or do you just have your set prices? That's what you value yourself as, and that's what it is. Do you negotiate? Like, what comes into the thought process when you're charging?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a very good question, and you're on point. I look at the venue. So if it's a club, we look at, okay, I look at the venue, the night, the occasion. Mm-hmm. Is it a holiday? Is it Christmas Eve? Is it New Year's Eve? We see what I'm saying? Okay, but let's say, for the example and the situation and the business relationship that I have with the Scott Gardner and Cindy Gardner. Mm-hmm. I looked at the fact, I said, do you want me to play just this night, or is this a short term or is it a long term? Mm-hmm. And so we had a previous relationship at the Sky Bar. I played 5 years. So They said long term. Well, and I understand there's another band. So here, from my perspective, I was a club owner. Right. You see, so I got to look at, I understand that side. Now I'm a musician. I just have to pay my band. I don't really have to worry about me. I have to pay my band fairly. Right. And I look at what's fair and what is the bigger picture. The journey is longer. It's not just a couple of weeks. We can look at months to years. So we've already been there. We started in March. We've already been there 8 months. And so long term. But yes, you can negotiate. You have your prices and you have, I know what my minimums are, but I have to look at travel. You got to look at load in, what equipment I need to bring. Do I need to bring sound, lighting? Yeah. Again, is it a Saturday night? Is it Christmas season? Is it New Year's Eve? Mm-hmm. And then look at the venue. What are they doing? Are they charging $100 ticket? And they got other artists on the bill. Yeah. So that's where the problem comes in when you have other artists on. It's like, okay, well, we don't want to be taken advantage of. We don't want to, we the opening, all the closing band. When we're the headliner, then, we should be at a certain price point. Right. And you do give it what the market will bear. It's good business. It's anything else.
Yeah. And so that's a big conversation I hear a lot. Well, I read a lot on social media with musicians. A very young person just getting into the industry recently posted something about, he was very upset because when you tell a club owner what your price is, they don't want to pay it. And of course, it depends on who you're talking to if you can have this conversation. But in my mind, I was like, right, but you're still needing to pay your dues. You still haven't got there. You still don't have a following. So that's an adjustment as well, don't you think?
Yeah, they have to. What you have to understand is, let's just make a figure. Let's just make a figure. Say a band wants $1,000 to play on a Friday night at a club. Okay, so the cover charge is $10.
Mm-hmm.
You need 100 people to come in there to
Yeah.
pay that $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, the owner has paid the band.
Mm-hmm.
And then the owner's gonna make the money off the drinks. If they're not a restaurant, you know, they got food at their restaurant.
Right.
You know,
right.
the restaurant and the drinks, but they're gonna make the money on the drinks. Okay, now people don't realize how hard it is to get 100 people to come hear you. 100 people, not 20, 30, 100 people.
Right.
So that's how you got to get paid. So look at what they have to get at the door. Okay, and then that is, do you have a following of people? The club owners ask that because we need to get people in. Now, one of the problems is that the business might be slow already, and they bringing you in as you have a following. Yeah, that's tough.
That's different.
Like, man, you don't have a following. You don't even need, your restaurant need to have a name. People need, like, we go to Papa Do's. It don't matter who playing on the patio. We don't. It doesn't matter. They packed anyway. The bar is packed. The people, because they have a reputation with the product they deliver.
Right.
But if some of these people haven't developed that, then the musicians got to understand they have to make. It's got to be a win-win.
Win-win situation. Exactly.
It's got. If it's not a win-win, you know, so the owner got to win first, so he can pay you, whatever that number is.
Yeah.
And then it's what you are able. Like, say, I had to pay some dues. You know, I've come a long way from the price of what we started with to where we are now. But then too, I have the luxury of that now, not really having to, like, some of the gigs I do is at venues. It's people I have a good relationship. I like the venue, and it gives the band an opportunity to play in a different area of town. The people say, "Where you playing?" They always saying, "Where you playing?" And if you're not playing nowhere, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not worried about what you're playing. How getting paid? They're where are you playing?
Where you playing?
Yeah, that's the question. Where you playing at this week? Where you playing? They're not worried about what you're getting paid.
Right. Right.
So you have to accept those things.
Yeah.
Another thing I have to tell them young musicians, they might want to try to get a job and not rely on their bass or their drummers to pay their rent and their car note and take care of their family. Because this is not, you can do that.
It's not guaranteed, especially.
But it's not guaranteed money.
Right.
Like when the pandemic hit.
That's when a lot of musicians found that out.
You know, you need to have some residual income, multiple streams of income, some savings, and something to fall back on. But you can make it. You got the people to make it, they make it real big. But everybody's not gonna make it real big. So you need to have a plan B.
Definitely. And I think that might be some of the piece, because I think just like in most things, people who are young, they just see the perks and the, you know, being up on the stage. They don't realize that, and this particular person is a leader. He wants to be a band leader, and band leaders got to pay for them instruments that are not working sometimes. Band, you know, they don't have that part in their minds. You know what I'm saying? And so you see what people understand when they book me and you see the name, it says Joe Carmouche. It doesn't say those other members. Right.
It just say and they don't really care about who the other members are to an extent, a certain extent, you know.
I know what you mean. No, I know what you mean.
But the name that they're booking is my name. And so I book my musicians. Their agreement is with me. My agreement is with the venue. Even if I do a New Year's Eve, a Christmas party, or wedding reception, the agreement is with me, Joe Carmouche band. Yeah. And then I book my band. I owe my band to pay them.
Right.
So at the end of the night, I still have to pay my band. I owe them because I contracted them. So they have to understand that. It's a learning process. It's a lot to learn.
What does the future hold for Mr. Joe Carmouche?
You know, right now, I've been thinking about another recording project, getting more stuff out on the new digital formats. I haven't really pursued that as I should, because I have like 4 CDs out. And I did it back in the day when I really was into recording in the old way with live and just going in the studio and having fun. So I'm not really big into just sitting around recording digital and doing that. I like playing live.
Right.
So looking at another recording and then doing some traveling, getting out to maybe some festivals in other areas. That's all I have to do now because I think I'll have more time.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I think we've built a sound and just working on perfecting that sound and continue to work on perfecting the image and just pursuing more music and getting it out to more people.
Get your CDs on the platforms, right? The regular platforms.
Yeah. A lot of it's out. Like I said, I have let's say 4 full-length CDs: After Hours, A Touch of Jazz, Art of the Groove, and
are they a mixture of genres or all jazz?
So they're all jazz, but they're listed under jazz genre, but it's a lot of instrumental R&B. Okay. Some of my original stuff is we call smooth jazz back, you know.
Yeah, that's the word.
A lot of that is smooth jazz, but then I do have a lot of covers of R&B hits.
Okay.
Too, yeah. So it's kind of like instrumental R&B, smooth jazz, and a little blues. Okay. I mix it up a little bit, but when I do a CD, I try to create a theme. Mm-hmm. That everything is consistent in the theme. Okay. You know, that kind of feels good all the way through. Yeah. It's consistent. I kind of jump in here and there. Just kind of like the first track to the 10th track has a certain feel. Like
sit and figure out what song you want first. How do you want it to go all the way through? I never thought about that. Okay.
I do that. I spend a lot of time on my originals, what the titles are going to be. Uh-huh. I spend a lot of time on what the sequence of the songs, the song order. Yeah. I spent a lot of time on what the CD title. Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of time with that because it's really important to have an image and a theme. Well, and it's something that's catchy. I mean, I studied business technical writing in school, and some of the advertising things really kind of helped me when it go to printing. Mm-hmm. So I did all the liner notes and things like that. But the sequence of the song titles, I want to evoke a certain feeling of right away. You know what this song is going to be, especially for my originals. I had one song called Caribbean Nights. Mm-hmm. When you hear it, you want to think about that you're out on that cruise on the boat. You know, I had one called Foreplay. Well. So, there was a group called Foreplay, right? But it was a romantic theme, and it was smooth and really sensual sounding. Okay. And I had a CD called After Hours. Reason titled it because it kind of had a late night vibe to it. Okay. So all that's important.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why I didn't have done a CD song because I put so much time into it. Like the first CD I put like 2 years into it. The second CD I put about 1.5 years.
Wow. Yeah. Which when you said that about some of the class, you went to school, but some of them that didn't go to like literally college, maybe some of those new musicians should do a business class or something, that might help. I don't know.
Most definitely.
It's a thought in my head about when I hear them, I'm like feeling sorry for them, but like, you got to do some homework, baby. You got to do some homework.
Yeah, they got it.
People and listen. That might be the first thing too, to listen to the other people that ask questions and again listen to what the advice that they're giving. I think that's
one of the problems now is that the internet and the cell phone and access to information, and they think they have knowledge and information, but they don't have experience.
Right.
And they know a lot of things and they can get information, so they think they know a lot, but you really don't know it until you experience it. You have to go out. You do have to pay some dues. You're gonna learn. I had to learn how to book. I had to learn how to price. I had to learn how to be a band leader. I had to learn how to put together shows. I had to learn how to do contract. I do contract after contract. You got this. You left that out. They got you here, and you got to remember everything.
Definitely. I learned about those contracts. Anything else that you want to leave us with today? It still sounds like.
Yeah, I want to thank you for all the work that you do and for hosting this platform. Thanks for having me on it. And I want to thank all the people that have supported me, the fans, everybody come to every show that booked me for your private events, that bought the CDs through the years. I've been in this business now for over 40 years. And I just want to thank everyone for their continued support. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. at the next show.
But lastly, I want to remind people that you are at Scott Gardner's every Thursday from 6 to 8, happy hour time. Go over there and get your drink on, get your eat on, and listen. Am I right?
6 to 8:30.
8:30. Okay, 6 to 8.
Yeah, give them 30 more minutes, and it's no cover before 8.
No cover before 8. I always tell people, where can you get live music for that price? Not me.
And here's the thing, Trina. There's 2 bands. There's another band that come on after us that play to midnight.
Yes.
So you get in there before 8 o'clock. There's great food. On our night is steak night.
Steak night and 2 bands.
2 bands. Get there early, get the specials. They have some drink specials, but Thursday night, our night is steak night. And then after we finish, Melanie Covington comes on with Werner Richmond, their band, a great band.
Yeah.
That's a lot of music. They're doing a great thing over there.
And even if you get there at I guess 8 o'clock and you pay 10, that's still 2 bands for $10. That's still good. But I want to say also that Scott Gardner's is a great vibe. When I'm not working there, I'm there partying. Also, give a shout out one more time to our dear friend Kyle Turner on the loss of his father. We are praying for you, our dear friends, and our prayers with you and your family. Because I know you had another tragedy not too long ago. And so for both of those, we are really, really praying, and our thoughts are with you and your family. So we love you. All right, sir.
Well, thanks again for having me, Trina. I enjoyed this interview. It was fun. And much continued success. You keep doing what you're doing, working in the music community and working with our kids. God bless you.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.